This Choircast podcast episode is brought to you by Wild Olive, where we host game-changing conversation about literature, culture, and the Bible. I'm Jennifer Bird, a biblical scholar.
And I'm Jean Patrol, a literature scholar. If you want to change your Bible reading game, you can try reading the Bible as literature.
The way writers such as Emily Dickinson, Octavia Butler, Ursula Le Guin, James Baldwin, or Tony Kushner do.
Every other week, we let modern writers give a fresh take on a familiar Bible story. Did you know that Emily Dickinson uses woman by the well imagery to explore lesbian desire?
That's wild. And doesn't June Jordan use a Gospel of Matthew image to describe the civil rights activist Fannie Lou Hamer?
Yes. And Tony Kushner's Angels in America uses apocalypse imagery to describe the fall of the Berlin Wall. That's wild.
If you like conversations about the Bible that could go anywhere, tune in to Wild Olive wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, heathens, you're listening to the Deadly Faith Podcast where religion and crime collide. I'm Laci.
And I'm Lola.
And this shit is monstrous.
The mind that was in Jesus, that mind is in me.
Without me, life has no meaning.
Why would God tell you what I'm thinking and tell you what I've said to my wife or my husband when you're not around? It's because I'm the pastor of the church and I need to know.
This is the only place where you can see truth.
Ooh.
I know, you like that?
Go off. Okay, I see you.
I like that.
That's good.
Did I Google synonyms for the word evil? Yes, I did.
Okay, but monstrous goes along with like my my villain book characters that are like hot.
Oh.
So now I don't think of monstrous in a bad way anymore.
Okay, well, I just ruined it for you, at least for today.
Okay.
And then you can redo it.
I can get with it for now.
Yeah, just for today's episode.
Okay.
Hey, heathens, we interrupt this episode to bring you a message from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is Fahlo. We love Fahlo. We are big Fahlo addicts over here. I have multiple bracelets of theirs and I just love them. So if you don't know what Fahlo is, let me tell you. So Fahlo is an animal tracking company. So what they do is they have these bracelets with little animal charms on them. And with each bracelet you buy, you get a tracking code that you can go down in the app and scan your little QR code, and then it lets you actually track that animal out in the wild. And they have multiple animals and multiple species. So like say you want to track a gorilla, okay? You buy a gorilla bracelet, you get to track Tom2. And then you want to buy another gorilla bracelet, you buy another one, and then you get to track Billy. So they have multiple different animals to track. So
They have names.
They do. They have names. And it's so cute. And all of the, or 10% of the proceeds go back to the foundations that they have working with them that actually go out and rescue the animals or get the animal and put a tracker on it. They're trying to help these animals keep from going extinct. So it's a great, great cause. So they have sea turtles, lions, sharks, polar bears, penguins, dolphins, elephants, giraffes, gorillas, and they just added sloths. I'm in tears. I want one so freaking bad. My husband did make the point that like that'll probably be the slowest moving dot on your map. he has a point. He's
just let him fucking vibe.
Just let him vibe. It's a sloth. It is a sloth. So if you would like to go get yourself a bracelet, do so and use code LaciBean20 to get 20% off your order. If that code doesn't work, use Deadly Faith. We are trying to get them changed so that they match the podcast, but shit happens. So use LaciBean20 for 20% off. Link is in the description box or the show notes. Back to the episode. So before we get into the case, I'm going to give you guys some trigger warnings. There is murder and it's not super graphic, but there is rape and necrophilia and kidnapping. So I know you guys should have seen Lola's face when I said...
You said that so casually. Necrophilia. No, thank you.
Out of all the topics we talk about on this podcast, it's just another Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day of the week is.
It's Tuesday for them.
It is Tuesday for you guys, right? True.
I thought you did that on purpose. We did that on purpose. What are you talking about?
I totally did that on purpose. What are you talking about?
Who raised you?
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right in. So
tell me.
Today, we're talking about Kaylee. Kaylee was born March 2nd, 1993, and she grew up in Bend, Oregon. She was referred to... Do you know Bend, Oregon?
No, 93. No. I just... When people are close to my age, I'm like, oh, you died? What?
You died? I know. Yeah, it's always kind of shocking. If you don't know Bend, Oregon, Oregon's very beautiful. It's very like mountain-esque, but Bend, Oregon is very much the Texas of Oregon.
What?
So think very flat, just farmland type area. It's
I imagined
not
a tractor trailer immediately.
Okay. Pretty much. There's Bend, Oregon. Also, I think it's Bend, Oregon that still has the one and only Blockbuster that's left open in the world.
And I will die on this hill. Let's keep it open.
I know. The whole like community has like really fought to keep this Blockbuster open. And bitch, I would be there every Friday renting a movie. I really would. That was the shit back in the day. If you don't know what Blockbuster is,
that's the Wiener's dog. You know? That's the cat's meow.
I have never heard the Wiener's dog. I've heard the cat's meow.
That actually just like word vomited from my mouth. I didn't know what I was saying until I said it.
That's a very Lola thing to say. Oh, well, anyway, so she grew up in Bend, Oregon. She was referred to as the shining light of the family, and everyone around her said that she was a wonderful person who was loved by literally everybody who knew her.
Why is it always these people that die?
I know. And I've said this before, like, don't say I was the shining light of the family, because
she was the black sheep.
There's some people in my family don't like me, so don't say that. I don't light up a room when I walk in. It just depends on who's in the room. I could light up a room with some fun deconstructing
candles.
Heretic
with the candles
people. Yeah, with the candles.
With the candles. That's all. With the you're not a witch necessarily, but witchcraft, you know?
Yeah. But Kaylee could light up a room. And the more that I've like read about her, I think she really could. Like, she was just a really sweet girl. She loved photography, poetry, drawing, and snowboarding. At the time of her death, she was a dental assistant, and this job actually made her realize that she wanted to become an actual dentist. So she started studying at Oregon Community College. Yeah. I know.
What a good profession.
It is a good profession. She lived with her boyfriend, Cameron, and they lived by the college on College Way.
Cameron and Kaylee, that's so sweet.
I know. Isn't it cute? I know. And they were
Why
really...
did my voice get so high?
You go look at our Instagram. There'll be pictures of them posted, and they really are super cute together. So it's, yeah. Now, the Kaylee's family loved Cameron. They said he was a great guy. And they, as a couple, had been even making plans for the future. So like things were moving up for this couple. But unfortunately, that all changed on Saturday, July 24th, 2016. Now, I know. Now, that night, one of her coworkers was having a bachelorette party. And I know, right? Super fun. And originally, Kaylee wasn't sure she was actually going to be able to make it. I think she had like a work schedule thing, but she was able to rearrange her schedule and she was able to go. So she was super, super excited to be able to attend. She wore a black dress and some black heels and took a green little purse with her. And she went out like
she's
little black dress.
Cute.
I know. And
we're both doing our wrists.
We are. We're doing like, oh my God. Yeah. They had a blast. And after a few drinks, Kaylee started dancing and she ended up dancing with another guy. Now, Cameron's friend was there and he saw Kaylee dancing with another guy and he texted Cameron to let him know what was going on.
Is that really a big deal?
It is not. And I am sure when we get more into this, they're young. You know, like she was really, really young. This is 2016.
I get it.
You know, so I can understand like they're trying to like regulate their emotions. They're trying to learn how to regulate their emotions.
There's some insecurity brewing. Yeah.
It's that age, you know, but this is what starts the ball rolling down the hill of like what's to come. And it's very unfortunate that this is, but they didn't know that. They didn't know that this was going to happen. It, you know, you can't blame yourself, but I'm sure that they have some kind of like frustration that like, I should have just let it be. It was not a big deal. She can dance with another guy. Like she didn't slip and fall onto his dick. Everything is fine.
She didn't joystick his dick. It's fine.
It's fine, guys. Take a breath. But at midnight, Kaylee texted Cameron and asked him to come and pick her up at the bar. He came, and when he got there, they instantly started fighting over her dancing with another guy. Mm-hmm. They ended up fighting the whole way home. And by the time they got to the house, the fight was nowhere near being over. And so Kaylee was very upset. And so she said she didn't want to go upstairs with Cameron to the apartment. She told him that she needed time and she needed to go cool down. So she just started walking away. Now I'm
At
not.
night? What are you doing?
This is like probably 12:15. I'm going to guess like somewhere around there. Not 100% sure if he went after her or not. But even if he did go after her, he eventually just stopped and went back to the apartment. Later on, Kaylee's mom does say that this was like super typical of Kaylee to do, was to just walk off.
Walk it off.
And need to cool down. And so this is kind of how she coped with those situations. Now at 12:30 that night, Cameron and Kaylee exchanged a few texts. So Cameron said, "Where are you? Please come home and talk to me. At least you're being unfair." Kaylee said, "Are you kidding? What a joke. I'm sorry I'm not good enough for you." Cameron said, "I don't know how you can say that." Kaylee says, "If you wanted me, you could have. You don't care. If you did even a little bit, you'd know where I am. Sorry, I'm not as important as your phone." Cameron says, "Kaylee, please just come to be with me. I don't want to play this game. I'll start searching, but please help me out." Kaylee says, "My phone's about to die." Cameron says, "Please don't do this to me. I apologize for being upset when I picked you up. I just drove up and down College Way really slow and didn't see you. I don't know where else to go. Just come back." Kaylee said, "Are you kidding? Because that's bullshit. Phone off. Goodbye." Cameron replied with, "Kaylee, please." And that is the end of their text exchange. After that, Kaylee's phone was turned off or died. One of the two.
Have you ever read Looking for Alaska?
No, I have not.
Because it's giving those vibes.
Yeah? Is that Alaska? Is that a girl's name?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it sounds familiar. So maybe that's, I don't know. But
I won't give spoilers. Everyone go read the book.
Go read the book. Okay, I'll put it on my list.
Mm-hmm.
You have to remember, they're young.
Yeah. No, it sounds like my text messages from when I was 18, 19.
These are tame compared to like what I would have probably said, especially if I was like a little tipsy, had a few drinks in me.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have probably gone off. I was super immature. So like, I can feel this. I can see the like, if I was important enough or like, "I'm sorry, I'm not as important as your phone." Like that is shit I would have said.
There's some other things coming into play here where like, it feels like emotional immaturity.
Yeah. Which we all had at that age. Every single one of us. Like, I don't care how good you regulate your emotions.
Maybe this doesn't seem like the first time this has happened. With like, I don't want to play this game. And like, you should know where I am.
Yeah.
What?
It's giving like the girl just expecting the guy to know and to do all of the work, but without her contributing her emotions and feelings and communication side.
You should know me well enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Which like,
that's kind of gross. I'm sorry.
I'm talking about myself because like I fucking did that. I was like, well, if you knew me well enough, you would have had the dishes done.
We want to be known so intimately that like we could go anywhere and you'd find us. It's not dramatic. A specific place. It's like we want. Come on.
I know. We're just a little dramatic, okay? We own it.
And if you're a Leo or a Sagittarius, you got it bad.
May the odds be ever in your favor. And I say that as a Leo. So after this, Cameron now can't get a hold of Kaylee and he starts searching again in his car for her. Unfortunately, he cannot find her. And so he ends up just going back home and he goes to sleep. Now, when he wakes up in the morning, Kaylee's still not home. And so he calls her. And every time he calls her, it just goes straight to voicemail. Mm-hmm. He then drives over to her friend's house because that's where she had like left her car. And so he thought maybe she had one of them pick her up and she's over there. He went, she was not there. So then he drove to Kaylee's mom's house. So Kaylee's mom and dad had divorced a handful of years prior to this. So he drives over to Kaylee's mom's house and sees if like Kaylee's mom picked her up and she's just slept the night there. Again, she's not there. And she's like, the mom's like, I haven't seen her. So this is when he really starts to like freak out. thinks Kaylee's now missing. So then he tries calling Kaylee's dad. Now, this is a Sunday, and Kaylee's dad and stepmom are in church. And so they didn't answer the phone. And Kaylee's dad looks down at his phone and sees a text message from Cameron that said, "We can't find Kaylee anywhere. Call me."
I'm so nervous. I'm on the edge of my seat. What is happening?
No.
I hate this.
So I know. So I can't imagine like as a parent getting that text message and you're in church, like, oh my God. So after that, Cameron calls 911 and he reports Kaylee as missing. Kaylee's mom immediately felt like something was wrong. And so she started working on a missing persons poster for her daughter. And she was very desperate for the police to like take this missing persons case like super seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So she also called 911 to report her daughter missing. And she told them that her daughter suffers from epilepsy. And she wasn't lying because Kaylee did have a history of some epilepsy, but her mom definitely exaggerated it so that the police would take it more seriously.
I don't blame her.
Oh, not one bit.
I'm not saying it's right, but like I understand.
You play the game how
It's
you
mom
need to play
coded,
it.
for sure.
Yeah, I'd have done the same thing. I'd have been like, she's a diabetic and she has these pills that she has to have within 2 hours or she dies.
She's pregnant, diabetic, got cancer, like the whole 9 yards. Every medical problem so that we can find this person ASAP.
No judgment, like not even a bit. Like more of like a high five, good thinking. I don't know that I would have thought of that at that moment, but good job. So they do, take it pretty seriously. And the family didn't think that Cameron had anything to do with it. They, of course, had to like ponder on that for a little bit because it statistically is always the spouse or partner or, boyfriend, whoever it is. But they really did feel like deep down that Cameron had nothing to do it. And police, they also are very suspicious of Cameron because he was the last one to see her. He is the boyfriend. And so that is the number one suspect for them. So they go and they interview Cameron very quickly after she's reported as missing, but they conclude that he was not involved. I don't know how they concluded this, if it was just like a conversation. I will say that in my opinion, in this case, it worked out because Cameron isn't involved. But if they could like quickly conclude that he wasn't involved.
I wonder if it was just the way he was acting. Maybe he was just like in such distress and like desperation.
I might get some shit for saying this, but I can't help but think maybe it was some like white male privilege.
Oh, is he white? I didn't know.
He's white. He's white. And so I'm like, the cops literally just like, which I'm glad they did. It worked out in this case, but I have questions, but also no answers. And so I'm speculating when I probably shouldn't be speculating. Let's be honest.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. So the next natural suspect is the guy that Kaylee was dancing with at the bar the night before.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Yeah. He was the thorn in their side of this whole entire thing. So they tracked him down pretty quickly. They went and interviewed him. And again, they were like, oh yeah, it was just innocent, flirtatious kind of dancing. There was nothing more to it than that. He was not involved. I don't even think he knew Kaylee's name. So the police have no leads, no tips, no direction to go. And they think, okay, maybe she's just super pissed and she just went off the grid and she has work tomorrow and she's very devout, like always showing up on time, like she will be there.
Gotcha.
And so then her whole family is just like, okay, we have to hold our breath and wait for Monday.
They have to wait? No.
Thankfully, this was Sunday, so they just have to wait to go into Monday.
Still.
Waiting even 5 minutes, like I'd be shitting a brick. But Monday comes around, the time for her shift arrives, and again, Kaylee is nowhere to be found. So around this time, I think is when the investigation started to kind of ramp up. At one point, they did think that they had gotten like some kind of evidence that Kaylee was alive because one of Kaylee's devices was showing that it was traveling around the Bend, Oregon area. And so they were like, oh my gosh, she's alive and she's just like off grid. But they tracked the device down and I think it was either like an old phone or an old tablet. And it had been signed into Kaylee's Apple ID, but it was like a device she had given to a friend.
Oh.
And so they had this like small little bit of hope, and then it was just like quickly diminished.
That sucks so much.
I know. I'm like, that false hope is just, I don't know. How do you cope with that?
I'm feeling such anxiety, like secondhand anxiety. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I'm feeling that.
Yeah. So the police are searching for leads, any clues, any tips, anything. And they're getting nowhere because like there's literally nothing to point what happened to her, where she's at. But all of a sudden, that changed on Monday, July 26th of 2016. So this was just 2 days. So she went to the bachelorette party on Saturday, went missing Saturday going into Sunday, and then they were searching for her Sunday, and then now we're on Monday. Okay?
Oh, this is so quick. Okay.
This is a very...
Whiplash. I'm fine.
When I tell you this is a fast case, like it's very fast in its timeline. So a woman named Isabel Laura, she came to the police station and asked to speak with a sergeant. Now, Isabel was very familiar with the police because she was actually a police officer. I think she was a rookie at this point. She had like just finished the academy, or she was still in the academy.
I love the term rookie. Just remember, in general.
I do too.
So good.
I do too. It really is. So she asked to speak to a sergeant. And after a little bit, they came out and they recognized her, of course. So they pulled her in and they started to talk to her. And she said that her husband, Edwin Laura, had come to her that day and confessed to killing a girl on Saturday with his security car, that he'd hit her and then he hid her body. And she said her husband was freaking out and didn't know what to do. And after he confessed to her, he packed his stuff up and he left the house. And she's like, whiplash, like, what the fuck is going on? So she goes to the police station and reports what her husband had confessed to her. So I know,
what?
I wish.
Hold on.
Lola's like, what? I know, like I said, this all happens very fast.
What the Gobstopper glow lights? What is happening?
Gobstopper glow lights.
What?
I know.
Yeah. Hey, babe, I might have killed a girl.
Just wait.
Gotta go.
Just
Gotta
wait.
blast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All the air left my lungs.
So I wish you guys could have seen Lola's face. It was just like, what? So the police know of Kaylee's missing persons file, or case. And so they instantly think that this is her that he's killed. So they take Isabella into another room and they're wanting to interrogate, question, interview, whatever.
I'd say question.
Yeah, question her. They want to get as much information as they can from her. And they end up finding out that on Saturday night, Edwin had come home from his shift. Like always, he was a security officer at the college, the community college. And she's not sure exactly what time, but he came home late and he crawled into bed like everything was normal. Like there was nothing off of it. She doesn't remember the exact time, but it was just late is all she said. Now, she said that when they woke up on Sunday morning, they went to church and everything seemed completely normal. So
were they at the same church with her parents? No.
That's a good question. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going to say no. But that would
be a really gross coincidence.
I mean, when I couldn't if that would have worked out. But church was a very big thing for Mr. Edwin. He was a devout Christian. He was also in like their church band and he attended every Sunday service. So just waking up after apparently killing a girl and just going to church. Praise God.
I'm not sure if the the wine and the bread and the baptism really helped. I'm not sure if that influenced. The man well.
I don't think it did. On Sunday, Isabel says that after church, she could tell kind of he was like acting a little bit standoffish, maybe a little stressed, but she had assumed it was like just because of the strain on their relationship, because apparently Edwin had cheated on her with a girl in California, but they were working through it. So she was thinking like that was why he was acting not normal.
Who cheats with a man named Edwin? Firstly.
I know. Right.
Even
Edwin.
if you look like fucking recent, and Tamlin and Lucian, if you look like them, but your name is Edwin, I'm
sorry.
Can you imagine saying that person's name in bed?
I would give you a nickname, but if you looked like one of the characters from ACOTAR, I could look past it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can change your name. I can change your name. You got wings? You got wings?
Threat? I could change your name. No, call me by your name.
I could make them forget their name's Edwin. I think I have that back.
She'll be screaming her own last name. Yeah.
Yep. So after church, they go to the movies with some family and they see the horror movie Lights Out. And there's like even video footage, like a security video of him like walking up, getting his ticket, and just going to the movies. Like everything's fucking normal.
Isn't that like a scary movie?
Yeah, it's a horror movie. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she said that nothing besides him acting just like a little standoffish. Like she said everything else just was normal. Nothing stood out to her. But then on Monday morning, she woke up around 9 a.m., but Edwin decided to stay in bed and he actually slept for a few more hours. She said that he eventually did wake up and she could tell that he was very upset and that something was wrong. So shortly after he ends up waking up and she could tell that something's happening, he ended up confessing to her about what had happened. And he said that he was driving around the campus in his security car. He hit this girl with his security car and he started to panic because he'd hit this girl, but she wasn't dead.
So he didn't mean to hit her initially?
Yeah, he said he didn't mean to hit her. It was an accident, but then...
And then he panicked.
He panicked and he stole her belongings and took them back with him to his house. And he hid them in their shed, in their back little shed. And yeah, that was what happened. And he's freaking out. And so after he confesses, he packs his bags and he leaves. But before he leaves, he takes her gun out of her purse and takes it with him.
I'm sorry, does she know this? Did she witness that happen?
Yes, she saw him. So she's telling the cops, like, he took my gun.
By all means. Killer, take it.
And she's just, I'm assuming, standing there in shock, like not sure what to do, but also like you just let him walk out with that. And then drove to the police station and then sat down and waited for a sergeant to come to you.
Why didn't you call 911?
Exactly. Thank you.
I'm very... Okay.
That is like one of the biggest, not like controversies.
Like the big cloud overhanging the case?
Yes. Like that people were very frustrated with her of like, you are an officer. You're a rookie. Like you've been through the academy. Like you should have known immediately this is an emergency situation. Either way it goes, let's say that like he's telling the truth. Okay, he's dangerous. He's freaking out and he killed somebody. Like we need to get law enforcement involved. We need to figure out what the hell's going on.
Girl, where's your handcuffs?
Right?
Whether it's kinky or not, like where are the handcuffs?
Agreed. Also, let's say he didn't kill anybody and he's having a complete manic episode.
You should probably report that.
He just took your gun. Like that still needs to be reported. And any of those situations is a 911 call emergency situation. So like, that's where everybody was like, you fucked up. Like, why was this not
very odd
taken care of faster? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, they are concerned because Edwin now they know has a gun. And so he is on the loose and he's posing a threat to anyone that he comes in contact with. Now
with his car, with his gun, with his...
Anything. Yeah, or anything. So they did think at first, like maybe this was just like a hit and run accident. But usually they said like the person who hits them, their conscience gets so built up and like it's just eating away at them so much they end up coming back to the scene pretty shortly, like within just like a handful of hours or so.
Sorry.
So the fact yeah.
Never mind. I was going to ask a question, but you said necrophilia. I have to... Oh, God.
I know.
God, Laci, why?
I'm so sorry.
Okay, keep going.
So they go back to Isabel's house. Isabella, either way. They go back to their house and they look in Edwin's shed out in the back. And they end up finding a trash bag of Kaylee's belongings, and they were covered in blood. But they also found a rock that was also covered in blood. So they are right now assuming that they know it's Kaylee's belongings, and they are going to assume that this is Kaylee's blood until testing proves otherwise or confirms. Now Kaylee's missing persons report, missing persons case is changed to a homicide investigation. Now, something else that they found in this shed that is very interesting and weird is they found a presentation board that Edwin had done for like a psychology class that he was in. And it was over the railroad killer. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay, so the railroad killer, we will actually cover them in a later episode, but just to give you guys like a synopsis, is he was a serial killer that he attacked people at random, but along the railroad across like multiple cities and states. This man claimed...
this is kind of ringing a bell for me. Kind of.
Okay. It's a pretty well-known serial killer.
So he was researching it, or he had?
Yeah, he was like doing some kind of like psychology presentation. Yeah. And this man that he said he was an angel who was sent to punish those he thought, quote, were evil and deserved to die. That was the railroad killer's like whole motive with his murders.
He seems like a man of great judgment. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, the things about this presentation, like having a presentation board about a serial killer is not weird. Okay. We were just talking before we started recording. I want to be, if I get murdered, if something happens to me or I just like die mysteriously and like somebody has to look at my search history on my computer, I want to be a fly on the wall because the spectrum is wild.
Both of our search histories are just fucked.
I mean, serial killers murder all of the like decomposing body stuff. Like it's all there, and you get mixed in some random shit. Because like right before this, I had to look up a bunny's penis and vagina so I could tell the difference to make sure.
I knew you'd put that in there somewhere. I knew you'd bring it up.
I had to.
It's okay.
Come on. But I want to be a fly on the wall because, like, you know,
yeah,
that's would be funny, okay? But this presentation, he had the pictures of the victims and their dead bodies. Like, those were up on his presentation. Why would you do that?
We have pictures of, like, victims when they're, like, you know, at their best.
Alive.
And, like, presentable. That's...
No. No, he dead bodies and all.
I hear an alarm. I hear it. There it is.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, what's the psychology on that? Like, why do you need to have that in your psychology presentation
now?
Very questionable. And that was like red flag for the police officers, okay? Now, Isabella does tell them that Edwin has family in California, and that's where the girl was that he cheated on her with. And so they're kind of thinking, okay, maybe he's fleeing to California. So that kind of gives them a direction of something to look for. They do try to get Laura or Isabella to call Edwin, but it just goes straight to voicemail. So now we are also on Monday. Okay. But this is all kind of happening at the same time. So we're going to rewind in time just a little bit. On that same Monday, there was a girl named Andrea Mayes, and she was just 19 and she was leaving work she worked at Ross Dress for Less Jesus Christ.
Ross Dress for Less. Come on. I love Ross.
I do too. In Salem, Oregon. Okay. So Bend, Oregon to Salem, Oregon is like a handful of hours away. So this is probably 4 or 5 hours, something like that. It had been a really long day at work for her. And while she was walking to her car, she starts looking at her phone, just like checking social media. She unlocks her car, she gets in, and she's still just scrolling social media. While she's scrolling, all of a sudden she sees somebody stick their hand through the passenger door, like window. Was open. And She thought it was a prank. She thought like one of her coworkers was trying to prank her.
Oh my God. This is a horrible, scary movie and I hate it. Oh my God. Stop. My God.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So, but then all of a sudden the person is like unlocking the car door and then getting in and they have a gun and she starts laughing because she's literally thinking like, this has got to be a joke. This is a prank. And then it was not a joke. It was Edwin. And he had a gun and he pointed the gun, like put it right up against her thigh. And he said, do what I say or I will shoot you. Andrea quickly realized, this is real and he means business. I cannot imagine.
And after a long day at work, are you kidding me?
Oh, right.
Fuck you, Edwin.
Son of a bitch.
Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Bitch ass.
Now, he forced Andrea to drive him to California. After about an hour of driving, Edwin made her pull over because he was afraid she was going to attract police because she was speeding and slightly driving erratically. And so he was like, slow down. Like, if you don't slow down and start driving normal, I'm going to shoot you. So she started driving normal.
Pro tip, wreck the car. Pro tip.
I mean,
somebody's
right
doing this.
Hole, like
put on
right
your
into
seatbelt.
a telephone pole.
Wreck it hard. Super hard. Yeah.
They start to drive again. Edwin tries to make small talk during the drive with Andrea, and she refused. She did not want to give him any information about herself. And Edwin's like, fine, then I'll just tell you all about me. And he starts opening it up and tells her about his life.
What therapy session is this? What?
Right? He starts telling her about his wife and how she had been in the academy. And then he's like, and I killed a girl named Kaylee, and went over the whole thing about how he murdered her.
And this is what we call hostage therapy. No.
Yeah. We need that rainbow.
That's what I was, the SpongeBob rainbow.
Yeah.
Imagination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nation.
I'm sorry. I'm making light of something that's absolutely horrible. So he like recounts the details to her.
Yes. And she is really scared because she's like, oh, he means business. Like he's already killed somebody. So now she's like, holy shit, like what the hell's going to happen? Now, as they're driving, they end up making a couple stops. One was at McDonald's, another was a gas station, and another was a roadside motel in Southern Oregon. Now, each time they stopped, he forced her to pretend to be his girlfriend and said that if she didn't, that he would kill her. They were not close in age. Like she was a very young 19-year-old girl. And then you have Edwin, this grown man. She said like it was very visible, like noticeable that she had been visibly crying and she was not okay. And she tried to make like motions at people and like try to give little hints, but nobody noticed. Nobody asked her if she was okay. Literally nothing. So this little roadside motel that they stopped at, we will post pictures because there is like security footage of them at this roadside motel. So that's over on our Instagram if you want to go and see that. But when they got into the room, he handcuffed her to the bathroom door while he showered. After that, he tried to make her shower in front of him, but she refused. He finally didn't like force her to do that, but he finally uncuffed her from the door and then cuffed her to the bed. He somehow was able to like force her to take some kind of like sleeping pills. And this terrified Andrea because she was like, if I start to fall asleep, like he's going to sexually assault me. I know it. And as she's laying there and the pills are starting to like kick in, he starts to lay down beside her and he starts licking her fucking ear. I'm
going to throw up.
I have to
almost
leave.
like
that is
visibly gagged.
I'm going to vomit. This girl is a fucking genius because right as he's starting to like,
don't even say it again. We don't have to.
I can't. I was going to like say something gross and I was like, I can't even do it. Like, it's just so disgusting. An alarm goes off on her phone. Like she had set an alarm for like a reminder and it goes off and she tells him that alarm is a reminder for her to take her medicine for her STD.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Right? So he asked her what STD and she just made it sound so fucking gross. Like she was like, I'm oozing, I'm
yeah.
popping. Like she was just like, it's disgusting. Like you don't want to touch me. And it worked. He did not sexually assault her in any way. And I was like, you are a
Where's
genius.
that? You know that
like
song? That's my girl. That's what's playing right now in my head.
Yes. Oh, this girl.
Pro tip.
Yeah, I know, right? We all learned something today. Mm-hmm. She said after this, he ended up getting on the phone and he was talking with somebody, but he was speaking in Spanish. Now, Andrea can speak Spanish a little bit, but she was having trouble following the conversation. So she was only able to pick up a little bit. And she said that he sounded very paranoid and had told the person on the phone that they were sending helicopters and he had to go.
Okay.
So I don't know what he was referencing. Maybe he was just like super fucking paranoid. He was, working himself up into a tizzy. Now, after this conversation that Edwin had, he decided it was time to leave the hotel. They'd only been there for a couple hours, so it's like still super early in the morning, like 3, 4 a.m. And they leave and they get back on the road and continue heading to California. Now, she tried to get him to just leave her at the hotel, like just take the car, take the stuff, like take whatever you need, just leave me here. But he actually told her that, no, you have to come with me because the cops won't shoot me if I have you with me. So he's using her as a literal human shield.
That's invalid.
That
also.
I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What?
And this is a college man, you say?
No, he was a security officer at the college.
Okay. Gotcha.
So he's older. He's an older guy. Yeah. Now they continue driving and they arrive at Eureka, California at 5 a.m. on Tuesday, July 26th. He stopped at a motel and noticed that their car was leaking oil and they needed to get a new one. They end up seeing a guy unloading some camera equipment and taking it into the hotel. We find out later on this guy's name is Jack Levy. So they follow Jack into his room and Edwin points his gun at him and tells him to give Edwin his car keys. Jack refuses and starts yelling. They are like yelling for help. And this makes Edwin freak out. And he tells the man, like, if you don't shut up, I'm going to shoot you. And the man still refuses to give the keys and keeps yelling. And so this made Edwin freak out more. And he shoots Jack in the stomach.
Oh, God.
Now the man,
I didn't think you'd do it.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah, he actually did. And Jack falls to the ground and he's screaming. And Edwin is now in a really big panic because not only is he attracting attention, he's actually shot a man. So he grabs Andrea and they run off and they head to the gas station that is across the street. Now, I will say Jack survives this gunshot wound to his stomach. So
thank God.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Now they get to the gas station across the street. And they end up seeing a car that's pumping gas. And in it is a 17-year-old Nima, I think is how you say their name, Nima Gavin, and his grandma and younger brother. His grandfather and his dad were also there, but they were in the gas station going to the bathroom. So they weren't in the vehicle at the time. Now, Edwin approaches their car and he opens the back and he throws Andrea in. And then he gets in the front seat and 17-year-old Nima is driving and he yells to drive or he'll shoot and Nima just complies. So he has no idea what to do. He's freaking out. He's got a gun in his face, so he drives.
Why does he keep involving more people?
and it's mostly like young people, like 17, 18, like very young people. Mm-hmm. Now the grandma, poor grandma, she is in the backseat freaking the fuck out. She is screaming her head off. And Edwin is threatening to kill poor grandma if Nima does not get her to shut up. So Nima is like trying his hardest to get everybody in the car to calm down and like everything's going to be okay. It does not work. It does not work at all. Everyone's still freaking out. Like you have a gun and you just kidnapped them. They're not going to stop crying and screaming and freaking out. Now, after this, Edwin just decides to ask everybody in the car, have you ever had the urge to kill people? He just like blurts that out.
It's like the Barbie movie where it's like, do you ever think about dying?
Yes.
Do you ever think about dying?
Exactly. But it's, do you ever think about killing people?
Oh my God.
That's what he said. And everyone's like, God. What the fuck? And then he just tells everybody in the car about how he killed Kaylee. He just tells the whole story. Again, he's confessing to everybody.
Man, this man, he's ready to speak. He's ready to testify.
Yeah. At first, Nema didn't believe him, but the more he told the story and got into details, he was like, holy shit. And the guy's like, yeah, I kidnapped this girl, Andrea. I kidnapped her from Oregon. And before we jumped in the car and kidnapped you guys, I shot a guy at the hotel across the street.
Are you this is not a flex. This is not something
no,
to
not at all.
Build up your resume with.
Yeah. Everybody is just freaking out. Now, for some reason, I don't know why he did this, but for some reason, there was I think 15 minutes into the drive, he stopped the car and at a rest stop, and he let Nema, his grandma, and Nema's little brother, out of the vehicle. Andrea tried to leave and tried to beg him, just let me go with them. But Edwin wouldn't let her. Again, he told her that you're my human shield. You have to come with me. That's exactly what he said. Quote, you are my human shield. You have to come with me.
And you're a disgusting flesh tube of a male. I hate you, Edwin.
You are being kidnapped. You've been kidnapped for hours and hours and hours at this point. How do you cope with somebody telling you, you are my bulletproof vest? You are going to take the bullets that people fire at me. Trauma upon trauma upon trauma. I can't. Now, while they're driving, Edwin, I swear this man, he's got some screws loose. He ends up taking Andrea's phone and records a Facebook video. The best way I can compare this video to something is when a church, it comes out that there's some kind of scandal happening that they've hidden and thrown under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And the church is we understand that this was bad, but we've done all this other good stuff. And
are you kidding?
I'm a good person. Or I'm a good church. This is basically what he did. I know I murdered her, but I'm a good person.
Oh my God.
It's okay. But also he hands, after he does this whole video, and he even I think talks about kidnapping Andrea in it and how she had nothing to do with it, how his wife had nothing to do with it. He's confessing while also being I'm not that bad of a guy.
The balls on this dude. He needs a whole extra seatbelt to drive with his balls. I mean, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this?
And then he hands the phone back to Andrea and he says, post that to Facebook.
Oh.
And title it Murderer on the Loose.
What?
What?
I don't understand the end game here.
Nobody does. I will tell you, nobody understands the end game because this man, just wait.
Okay.
So she did post it to Facebook, but she did not want her followers or family or anybody on social media to see her in that state because he shows her in the video. And so she set it to private. So nobody could see the video, but if you're on her phone and you clicked on Facebook
mm-hmm.
and go to her profile.
From her point of view.
You would see it from her point of view. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he thinks that this video has been posted. After this, he ends up getting on the phone with his wife, Isabella.
Finally.
Isabel. Yes, she's trying to convince him to turn himself in and just stop all of this, but he refused. He could feel that things were closing in. One, you've confessed to 13 million people at this point. Everybody knows who you are, where you're going, and that you've kidnapped another person. You're leaving a trail of blood and cars and traumatized people the whole way. You're going to be caught here, bud. So he ends up starting to freak out and he starts becoming more irrational and more erratic. And he ends up getting up to 120 miles per hour. He's just he's losing it. And all of a sudden, a switch is flipped. He calls 911 on himself. Yes. Lola's face right now is what?
I cannot keep up. Never let him see your next move. This is the guy. Never let him see your next move. this is the guy.
No. You couldn't guess his next move if you like.
You can't write this shit. This is
crystal ball. You could no. It's no. So he calls 911. He tells them who he is, where he is, and what he's wanted for. Now, the 911 operator and Edwin go back and forth for a little while, and they are trying, like the 911 operator is just trying to get him to pull over his vehicle and just give himself up.
Calm down.
But the reason that Edwin had called 911 was because he had come to the realization, like, I'm going to be taken in. The cops are going to come. I'm not getting out of this.
Mm-hmm.
But he wanted to call 911 so that the operator could tell the police officers that Edwin had asthma. And so he wanted the officers to be aware of that so that when he was pulled over and taken into custody, that they would go easy on him.
Isn't that like a trait of a narcissist to like think about something like that as trivial as that in a moment of such like
fucking chaos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just like Jodi Arias where she's like, can I go fix before my mugshot? Can I fix my hair?
Oh my God, seriously.
You know, like this is what that's
This is what that's doing. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
What is happening?
Mm-hmm. After a while, he eventually does pull over and the cops guide him out of the vehicle with his arms raised. And he walks backwards towards the cop car. One officer notices that he's wearing body armor and he asks Edwin, like, why are you wearing this? And Edwin replies with, because I came for a throwdown.
Like a hoedown throwdown?
Yeah, hoedown throwdown, but with bullets.
Okay.
I guess. Mm-hmm. So he was arrested and booked, but unfortunately, so was Andrea. Because they didn't know.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Because this is in another state.
Oh.
So they right. didn't. So we're like way crossing jurisdictional lines here. They didn't know the whole situation. And so she wasn't only booked, but she had to be strip searched and her mugshot was taken. So like the trauma, like I can't imagine, like she's like, oh, I'm saved. Here, strip. What the traumatic, very traumatic. It didn't take long for the Oregon police to come down and straighten everything out and get Andrea out of custody, thankfully. They go in and they interview Edwin, and he confesses to everything. They, of course, want to find Kaylee's body, so Edwin agrees, and he draws a map, and he's like, this is where her body is. They're like, okay. And then he goes into detail and tells them what happened. Well, his first version of what happened. He says that he bumped Kaylee with his patrol car late that Saturday night. He got out and noticed that Kaylee was drunk and she was screaming. He freaked out because she was screaming. So he choked her to get her to shut up. And when he choked her, she ended up passing out. And he took her body and threw it in the back of his patrol car and took her to another parking lot. He said he panicked and didn't know what to do because she had seen his face. So he went back to the back of the patrol car. And when he opened it, she started to come to and she started to scream again. He then puts her in a headlock so that she would stop screaming. And Kaylee starts struggling. So he kind of like pulls her out and throws her on the ground. And she hit her head on the rock, which is what killed her. He then drug her into the trees and hit her with another rock before stealing her stuff and taking the rocks and going home. Now, he is trying to make this entire situation be like, I hit her with my car and then I freaked out and I panicked and so I killed her. Oops. That's what he's trying to make this look like.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, the police aren't falling for his story. And so Detective McLaughlin comes in and he starts to interrogate Edwin, but with a spiritual angle to the interrogation.
Go off, son.
He tells Edwin that you're going to stand before God and you're going to have to, take accountability for your sins. And so
you reap what you sow, my brother in Christ.
If you want to repent, you need to confess. This worked. This actually worked. And Edwin now tells the real story. So he never hit her with his patrol car. ever. She was never hit with a car. He actually saw Kaylee walking and decided that he was going to try and elicit sex from her because he thought that she was a prostitute.
You know, I said earlier, the whole never let him see your next move. I was trying to semi-prepare myself for this part that we're at. You cannot. I need my seatbelt. I need my
5-point. This is a 5-point harness type seatbelt story.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
What's happening?
Yep. So he thinks she's a prostitute. He stopped and asked her if she needed a ride, and Kaylee agreed and got in. Now remember, he is a security officer, so he has a patrol car.
She would trust.
Probably just she trusted him. Yeah. She got in. She felt safe. I'm sure quickly after she got in that vehicle, she realized this is not safe because he elicits sex and she says no. She's like, no. And Edwin wasn't taking no for an answer. And so he tried to rape her. Then she started screaming and tried to get away. I'm assuming somehow she did get away and got out of the vehicle. And at this point, Edwin then went after her and he panics and he starts hitting her with a rock, which is what eventually killed her. So she gets out of the vehicle. She's running for her life. He gets her. He freaks out, grabs a rock and just starts bashing her head in until she dies.
Good golly. What is this?
He then raped her dead body.
I gotta clock out now.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry.
I gotta log off.
I know. We will not go into any details. That's all we need to know. I don't know anymore. I don't want to know anymore. That's what happened at poor woman.
You know, I don't know about any of the research that goes behind necrophilia, which we should just call corpse rape. We should call it what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Necrophilia makes it sound so no, you're raping a fucking corpse. That's disgusting. That's disrespectful. Absolutely. Above all, it's disrespectful.
There are not enough words to describe the heinousness of necrophilia.
What broke in you,
I think from the cases that we've covered where necrophilia has been a thing, it is a very narcissistic trait of wanting to be in power and in control. And when somebody is dead, they have absolutely no control. They're out. And so that's why you will see a lot of these perpetrators, Jeffrey Dahmer, for example, he would at least drug them to where they were passed out so that he could have full control. And then he eventually just started killing them so he could have even more control. So to me, in my unprofessional opinion, is I would think it would be some kind of narcissism connection trait.
No, I think that assertion holds weight, even if it's not 100% of the time. It's gotta be part of the statistics.
The dots seem like they're connecting in my head.
That's just so disrespectful. I'm so sorry, Kaylee.
I know.
You know what? That shouldn't have happened. I am glad that she was not in her body when it happened, though. That's the only part that I can be grateful for is that she, her soul,
didn't feel that
spirit
or experience
energy
that.
did not take that wherever it wanted to go, wherever it went to, a beautiful, wonderful place, wherever you are, Kaylee.
Now, I don't know why the investigators decided to do this next step, but they decided that they thought it would be good and it would help Edwin if he wrote a letter to Kaylee's family.
Disrespect!
I don't know why they did this at all. They have evidence. They have physical evidence. They have confessions. They literally have a slam dunk case. I don't know why they did this. But in this letter, he said that he keeps trying to ask Kaylee for forgiveness, but God doesn't allow the devil to talk to angels. So he was then asking Kaylee's father to forgive him for murdering her.
That is not a mercy that will ever.
Yeah.
You don't take a man's daughter.
No. And I think he was, I read that wrong. I think he was asking Kaylee's dad to ask Kaylee
like on
to
his
forgive.
behalf?
Yeah, like, can you as her father go to her in your prayers and ask her to forgive me? Because God doesn't allow evil people to talk to angels. And your daughter was an angel. The way I would want to castrate
He got one thing right. He got one thing right.
Yeah. He is evil.
God.
Agreed. Yeah. Now, the car that he abandoned in Salem at the Ross was searched. They found a note in the car that said, "I'm sorry to her mom, dad, and his wife." So like, I'm sorry to her mom, I'm sorry to her dad, and I'm sorry to my wife. It also said, sorry for taking her life. And then it also said, the place I killed her is on the B12 lot. Now, investigators ended up searching this area between this note and the map that he had drawn, and they found Kaylee's body face down across the rocks. The officer who found her actually thought that she was alive at first because he said it looked as if she was crawling across the rocks, and he realized that she was dead. So Kaylee did die from blunt force trauma, so when he bashed her head with the rock, that's what killed her. Now, in California, Edwin was charged with attempted murder, carjacking, and kidnapping. He was then extradited back to Oregon, and his lawyer in court filed for like a dismissal of the confession because he said his rights were violated. So apparently, when he was being interviewed in California, he had asked the investigators for a lawyer, but the investigators thought he was asking a procedural type question, not asking for a specific lawyer. And I know that this can be very different based off of what state you're in. And so like there are specific states where you have to say, I want a lawyer. If you say, should I have a lawyer? That's not asking for a lawyer.
Oh, okay. It's got to be very specific in some states.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But then there are also other states where it's more broad, where like just him asking something like, should I have a lawyer? They could argue that was him asking for a lawyer. And in those states, it's more lenient and like, you got to be more careful. So I'm guessing California is one of those states. And so he did ask some kind of lawyery type question, and they ignored it. Ugh. So they're saying that his confession that he gave in California, which was like their 6 hour, 3 hour, 6 hour, something like that confession, should be thrown out. They also said that by state law in California, you are allowed to have 3 phone calls within the first 3 hours that you're taken into custody. Edwin had been in custody for about 5 hours, and he had only made 1 phone call. So unfortunately, due to the law of California, the judge did have to throw out his 6 hour confession.
Oh my God.
So now the only thing that the police and prosecution have to go off of is the physical evidence.
There's plenty.
There is plenty, but it does make going for the death penalty a lot harder. So think the Casey Anthony case. They went for the death penalty. They went full blow, full bore, but didn't have like a solid confession or like solid. They had a lot of circumstantial evidence that like, we all know she did it.
But it's not enough to convict in court.
But when you are like putting somebody's life on the line, like they went so hardcore for the death penalty. I think if they would have gone for like life in prison, I think more people on the jury would have been more comfortable convicting somebody to life in prison than taking their life.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So so it made it a little bit of a gray area, and they weren't sure how this was going to go. But thankfully, Edwin pled guilty. And so they didn't have to go to trial. It was like, okay, cool. That's
Thank
basically
God.
a confession, you know? Yeah. He did get life in prison with no chance of parole. At his sentencing, Kaylee's family did speak, and Kaylee's dad told him to rot in jail and called him a scumbag. More power to you. Would have said the same thing. Maybe a couple other things.
Hell yeah.
But then, after Kaylee's family got done speaking, Edwin's attorney told the judge that he wanted to ask for forgiveness.
The audacity. I tell you, the balls.
Oh, the balls are about to be ballin'. Okay, just wait. So he gets up, he turns to the family, and he starts in a sermon preaching type way.
No.
Praying. Okay? I have it. We're going to read it. Okay? He says, "Today I've seen your pain. Today I've seen your hate. I don't have much to say to you at this moment. A single prayer that someday something I would like to speak to whoever is willing to listen. God Almighty, who art in heaven, although he might deny, I'll ask you to please heal the hearts, all those broken hearts of this community. I ask you, please heal the hearts of this family, of everyone who is in this place today, and may Kaylee Sawyer rest in peace. Amen." Lola is covering her face right now. She can't.
You raped a fucking corpse. You took a girl.
You murdered somebody and then raped her corpse. Mm-hmm. We are going to link in the show notes this prayer because it is on YouTube. If I'm remembering correctly, it is on YouTube. So I will put that in the show notes, and we will also have a picture over on our Instagram.
Is this motherfucker still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive, pretty sure.
Good. I hope he lives a very, very, very long, long, long life. Because it will be miserable.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm a petty ass bitch. I hope he experiences what he did to her. I hope he experiences that in prison from some burly men with
burly, well-endowed men
with well-endowed.
Is that what you mean?
With a dick hanging to the floor. Like I want you to hurt.
Shit.
I am, like I said, I'm not a good person sometimes. Like this is where my empathy runs out.
I'll let it slide.
There you go. I'll let it slide.
I ain't saying it's right, but I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Now, you would think that this is where the end of the case is, right? You know, but police say that they believe Edwin's cousin is actually, he mentions him in the video. He calls him V not in the video, in his confession.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that this cousin V helped him move the body to dispose of it. Now, the police are unaware of this person's whereabouts. Like as of 2023, they still have not found this guy. And this was years ago.
Is this a real person? Like, did they confirm this is a real?
This is his actual cousin, and he went on the run after this whole thing, after Edwin was caught. He went on the run, and he has not been seen since. So I am assuming that this part of the investigation is still open and active. So, yeah, still, I guess, technically not fully closed, but we can say it is. Isabel filed for divorce in August of 2016 and resigned from law enforcement in October of 2016. Like we talked about earlier, many officers and the community were very frustrated with how she handled this confession and how long it took her to talk to police. So they're like, you should have called 911 the moment he confessed to you. Like, not okay. So she resigned.
That makes sense. She wouldn't have had a reputation as everything for an officer, especially if you're trying to rank up or whatever they call it.
Well, and I just think if I was an officer and she's a rookie, can I trust you to have my back?
That's it. Yeah. If you're the one that's the mentor or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you're getting assigned your partner or whatever is that person and be like, I gotta switch precincts real quick.
Yeah.
Do you mind? Yeah.
I broke my leg. Sorry. Be out for a while. So this is some interesting information. Prior to Kaylee's death, students, professors, and Bend police chief had told this community college admin about their concerns with the campus public safety department. It was common knowledge that they had been doing things outside of their legal authority. They were making traffic stops. They were making arrests. They were investigating crimes. I'm sorry, that is not your job as a security officer, okay? That's
campus security is that's...
Don't spray paint on that. Don't park in this
hey, are you drunk and
lot.
need to ride back to your dorm? Or do you need to know which way the admin office is? Don't do that in a parking lot. Get out of here. What?
Oh, there's something going on. Let me call the actual law enforcement.
The actual police. Yeah.
The police chief said that tragic events could result due to them stepping out of their bounds.
Yeah.
They said they don't have proper background checks and the training to do the things that they are doing. Now, the community college even paid for an internal safety audit that revealed major issues, and they suggested basically a complete overhaul of this security department. What did the community college do? They decided that they would give the security officers very similar uniforms to the Bend police officers.
Why?
So they basically look like twinsies. Huh? What? Why? Right?
Why? Okay.
So Kaylee's family ended up suing. I think it was like Kaylee's Law is what they did.
I love it.
And they ended up winning this lawsuit against the school.
Of course. Good over evil all the time.
Because they had also found out that many staff members of the security department knew of Edwin's fascination with dead bodies. They also said that he showed many people at work nude photos and pornographic videos of himself and another woman. And one female coworker said she refused to ride in the same car as him.
That's a good, yeah.
So they knew that he was problematic in a sexual manner.
Problematic is the lightest way of putting that.
That's being more kind than I ever should be. Yeah, so they reached a settlement against the community college, and the community college was ordered to pay over or right at about $2 million to the family.
How did that not shut down the community college?
Don't ask me. I do not know. That's a great question.
Because, that's a lot of funds.
Yes. And then Kaylee's father and stepmother pushed for what is known as Kaylee's Law. And this is a law that requires that police and campus security officers look vastly different. Their vehicles, their uniforms, everything needs to look vastly different. So we can thank Kaylee's Law for that. Kaylee's mom created KK's Readers. It is a community outreach type thing for reminding kids to read, because Kaylee loved reading and she loved Dr. Seuss. Many signs and bumper stickers are still visible throughout the Bend area with KK's Readers on it. And we will link that in the show notes because it is still something that's active. But
that's iconic.
Yeah, that is unfortunately the murder of Kaylee Sawyer.
Well, I need to tell you that I definitely will need a neck brace for all this fucking whiplash that I've gotten.
And I had to tell it in that quick manner because it happens in this quick manner. There's not a whole bunch of background.
No, I'm glad that it went quickly and it wasn't
you don't know what's coming. You're what the
oh my now? What yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think he was suffering from
he was suffering, all right.
Murderous tendencies or murderous desires for a really long time. And because the only way, because he asked those people, do you ever think about murdering people?
Yeah.
No, but sorry, my kitchen knives stay in the kitchen. I don't really think about putting them in people.
I use them for tomatoes.
Not toes, just tomatoes.
Oh. I smell a merch t-shirt. Tomates, not toes.
Tomates, not toes. Not toes.
I like that accent.
Anyways.
Are you ready for the palate cleanser?
Thanks. Let's do palate cleansers because wow.
A lot.
We need a breather after that one. That was. My palate cleanser is so cute. I'm so proud of my kids. They got some new students at school who only speak Spanish. And my daughter was watching her in one of the classes and stuff, and she was using this app that was helping this girl learn English.
Yeah.
And the girl, my daughter, was ooh, I know what that app is. So she came home and she begged me to download this app. It's called
Duolingo.
Duolingo. Mm-hmm.
The Duolingo word haunts my nightmares.
Yes.
Everyone that's used it, we know. We fucking know.
Really? We did a lesson today. We downloaded it.
It's so fun.
My daughter is very passionate about learning some Spanish so that she can communicate with this child. And I found out my youngest, my middle child also has a student in their class that only speaks Spanish. And I found out my youngest one also has a little girl in her class that now.
So everybody's going Spanish in the bean house.
And so my kids are learning Spanish and we're doing it all together. We're doing it's supposed to be 5-minute lessons, but when I'm having them go over each one over and over again. It takes us about 15 minutes. But today was the first one and they did so good and they were so excited to do it. And my middle child even wrote down, had me write down hola and then hello.
Oh, yeah.
Adios and then goodbye and gracias. Thank you. So she could study it. My fucking 6-year-old was studying those 3 words.
Wants to study this so that they can communicate with other people that are different.
And I love that. And I was like, you're going to make this little girl feel so welcome that and seen. I bet she's so scared.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
I can't imagine being in an environment where I can't speak the language that everybody else is speaking. That'd be so overwhelming, especially at that age.
Girls.
I know. I was so proud of them.
So proud. Round of applause. Eric, insert that. No.
That's all my kids. They're cool. Anyways, what's yours, Lola?
So, have you seen Good Will Hunting?
I can't remember. It sounds familiar, and I know it's an older movie.
Matt Damon, Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. Yes. Okay.
Not Dead Poet Society, because some people get those mixed up. But Good Will Hunting. There is a 3-minute scene where Matt Damon's character is asking Robin Williams, how did you know that she was the one? And Robin Williams' character goes on this whole story about I had tickets to this iconic baseball game where everyone floods the stadium and everything, and it's chaos, and one of the best plays happens. I don't know. But he was like, I had tickets to it. And the guy was like, oh, so you went to it and you met her there. And he was like, no, we were at a bar before the game and I saw my wife and I was like, oh, I got to talk to her. And so I just slid my tickets over to the guys and said, I got to go see a girl. I got to do that. And so he was like, you're fucking crazy for missing that game. That's why did your friends let you do that? And he was like, they saw that look in my eye. That was like, this is it, you know?
This is it.
And the part that gets me is, I'm paraphrasing this whole thing, but something to the effect of, I missed that game so I can stand here and say that I don't regret, the 18 years that I had with Nancy and the 6 years that I had to quit therapy to take care of her when she got sick, and the last 2 years when she got really sick. I'm standing here to tell you that, I don't regret any of it. And it was all due to, missing that game.
I love that. I love Robin Williams. I love Robin Williams. He can play any character and he's just fucking amazing. I miss him.
Not a bad, there's not one thing that he did that was not absolutely amazing.
No, yeah.
Miss him.
I think I have said this on this podcast, and
say it again.
If I have, I'm going to say it again. If I've always said, my whole life, if I was stranded on a desert island and I was told you can pick one actor or one actress and you can have access to all of their movies that they've ever been in, no matter what it is, what actor or actress would you pick? Hands down, always fucking Robin Williams. Why? That motherfucker can do every genre. You get happy, you get sad, you get kids. I get Fern Gully. He's in fucking Fern Gully. That one's about to be a live action. I'm really excited about them remaking Fern Gully. Please tell me you know what Fern
I know what
Gully
it is. I didn't know that they were remaking it.
They're remaking it, and I don't know, unless somebody AI'd it and they tricked me.
I'm so gullible with AI stuff. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it.
I am too. When I first started crocheting, I would be like, oh my God, I want that pattern. I'd be so excited. And then I even did it. I printed off a couple patterns and I'd start crocheting it. And I was like, bitch, this is not the same thing. And then I realized it was an AI image. Now I'm really good at spotting them. But I was like,
yeah, if AI could die, I wouldn't care. And everyone, if you want to come at me on it, I don't give a fuck. because like it's all stolen content. It's all of it.
Yeah.
All of it's stolen.
Yeah.
And I hate it. And it should die. And that's all. And if you do the AI generated stuff, I just don't agree. Anyway.
I don't agree
I hope
with
you have a good day, but also I don't agree. So
also, you have to pay for them. I'm not paying for that. No
fucking way.
I want a free app. Free app, sure, I'll play around with it, but like, no.
Yeah.
Nope. The most I've done is I've done the AI where it like changes your hair color.
Well, that was good. I enjoyed looking at that.
I know. I changed my hair to
like
a blonde.
A platinum
and I was like,
blonde.
Damn. It was so good.
She looked like a beach
don't
babe.
Don't give me ideas.
Real life Barbie.
But I always have to remind myself, it wouldn't look like that in real life. It wouldn't be that perfect. So
maybe not.
I have been blonde. You do know that, right?
I know.
Time. Oh, okay.
I've seen you blonde. It's just like that. That one had like a shadow root to it, and it was super platinum blonde, like white blonde.
It was very much, yeah. It was like what do they call it? Silver?
It was silvery in nature.
Silvery-ish, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, well.
Good looking out.
That's today's case, guys. And I'm sorry. Go, I don't know, to eat a candy bar because that one took you on a whirlwind. And if you are listening to this podcast and you go to school with me, shout out. You guys are awesome.
What the fuck is
and
up?
I'm so glad that you're here.
Laci's
classmates. All the people that are like so much younger than me. But like, I'm so glad you guys are listening. So
you look like you're the same age as them. So it doesn't really matter.
And I have to remind myself though that they're like way younger than me because we were like having some conversations about like make a wish, like if it's our last wish. And I said, I would want to meet Eddie Munson. And then I almost was like, the things I'd let that man do to me. And then I was like, Laci, you are like, you're like 15 years older than them. Be appropriate.
You're coming close to the line, girl.
I was like, no, it's so, I was like, wow, okay.
That's
Laci.
That's very funny.
So I have to like, but now you know what I was about to say in that class.
Yeah, that's good.
Anyways, all right, yeah.
Good show, everybody.
Go touch grass.
Moss.
Eat a Pop-Tart.
Ooh.
We love you guys.
We love you so much.
See you next time. Bye.
Also, heathens, if you're enjoying the show so far, please remember to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on and give us a like and a follow and subscribe. This Choircast podcast is produced by Laci Bean and Lola Robbins and audio engineered by Eric Howell. Thanks for listening.
Also, we just found out that there's one person out there that is downloading our podcast from dial-up internet. We need to know who you are, so please email us at deadlyfaithpodcast@gmail.com because we have questions. I didn't know dial-up was still a thing. So anyways, bye.